New controversy in 90 Day Fiancé. 90 Day Fiancé star TigerLily cheated on her husband Adnan and embezzled all his assets. He had signed a document to withdraw money from the bank, which has led to a complete disaster for Adnan. Now, having lost almost all his property, Adnan is left frustrated and confused and does not know what to do next. During this difficult time, a close friend of Adnan advised him, "Don't worry too much about this. Find a way to deal with the situation." Adnan had never imagined that his life could spiral so quickly out of control. Just a few months ago, he and TigerLily had seemed like the perfect couple, glamorous, happy, and the kind of love story that reality TV audiences adored. But behind the carefully curated Instagram photos and the on-camera smiles, cracks had begun to form, cracks that Adnan had been too blind or too trusting to notice. It all came to a head one rainy afternoon when he received the shocking news. TigerLily, the woman he had loved and trusted, had cheated on him. Worse, she had somehow managed to embezzle every penny of their joint assets. The bank documents, signed casually by Adnan under the guise of routine paperwork, had become a trap. Money had been withdrawn, investments liquidated, and accounts emptied. Adnan sat in his living room, staring blankly at the wall, his mind spinning. Every plan he had made for the future, his dream home, his small business, even the travel adventures they had promised themselves, had evaporated overnight. His hands shook as he tried to process the reality. His property, his savings, everything was gone. The man who had once felt invincible now felt like a ghost in his own life. Days passed in a blur. Friends called, but he couldn't bring himself to answer. Family tried to console him, but no words seemed capable of filling the void TigerLily had left. Then, late one evening, his closest friend, Amir, came over. Amir had always been the practical one, the voice of reason in Adnan's life. "Adnan," Amir said gently, placing a hand on his shoulder, "don't let this destroy you. I know it feels like the world has turned against you, but you still have yourself. You can find a way through this." Adnan looked up, his eyes red from sleepless nights. "I don't know, Amir. She took everything. How do I even start again?" Amir smiled faintly. "Start small. One step at a time. First, understand what happened. Then, fight for what's yours. And finally, learn to protect yourself from people like her in the future." Inspired, Adnan decided he couldn't stay a victim. He began by gathering all the evidence he could find. Emails, messages, bank statements, and even witness accounts. It was painstaking work, but with every document he collected, he felt a spark of control returning. TigerLily had tried to erase him from her life, but Adnan was determined not to let her erase himself. The legal battle was long and grueling. There were setbacks and moments of despair, but Adnan found strength in unexpected places. Old friends he had lost touch with reached out, offering support and advice. He even discovered a new sense of purpose, helping others who had been victims of similar betrayals. His pain became a bridge to empathy and understanding, and slowly, he rebuilt not just his finances, but his confidence. Months later, Adnan stood on the balcony of a modest apartment he now owned, overlooking the city skyline. He was no longer rich in money, but he was wealthy in resilience and wisdom. TigerLily had become a distant memory, a cautionary tale etched into the chapters of his life. Adnan had learned the hard way that trust must be earned, but he had also learned something more important, that a person could fall, even hard, and still rise stronger than before. And as the sun set, painting the sky in shades of gold and crimson, Adnan whispered to himself, "I am more than what they took from me. I am still here, and I am unstoppable." However, Adnan had always been a man of calm logic, careful with his decisions, and protective of his heart. But TigerLily, bright, magnetic, and unpredictable, had entered his life like a whirlwind. From the very first time he saw her, his heart raced, ignoring every warning bell in his mind. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be smooth, but nothing could have prepared him for the emotional storm that was about to unfold. It all began with their first meeting overseas. TigerLily had that effortless charm, laughing loudly at her own jokes, eyes sparkling with mischief, but there was a shadow in her gaze. Adnan, hopeful and trusting, convinced himself it was just part of her mystery, part of the thrill he had been craving all along. They spent hours walking through cobblestone streets, sharing stories of their childhoods, and talking about dreams that seemed just within reach. But behind every smile, TigerLily carried secrets that would soon shatter Adnan's world. The first sign of trouble came subtly. Adnan noticed her casual mentions of money matters, hinting at debts and loans, yet she spoke as though she was the only one capable of managing it. One evening, over dinner in a quaint cafe, she casually suggested they sign some financial documents together. Adnan hesitated, sensing something off, but the warmth of their connection and her insistence made him agree. That moment, small and seemingly insignificant, was the first crack in what he thought was an unbreakable bond. Their relationship escalated quickly, but so did the drama. TigerLily's personality was magnetic yet unpredictable, and Adnan, desperate to maintain the connection, found himself walking on a tightrope of emotions. One night, she disappeared for hours without explanation, leaving Adnan anxious and confused. When she returned, her explanation was vague, almost dismissive, but Adnan's gut told him there was more than she was letting on. He began noticing small inconsistencies, texts deleted, unexplained calls, sudden changes in plans, and every little thing fanned the flames of his unease. The breaking point came when Adnan discovered that a significant portion of his savings had vanished. Documents he had signed in trust had been used to withdraw funds he didn't authorize. Shock and disbelief gripped him. The person he loved, the person he had believed would stand by him, had betrayed him in the deepest way. TigerLily, for her part, seemed calm, almost unnervingly so, as if she had rehearsed this moment countless times in her mind. She smiled, shrugged, and spoke of necessities and opportunities, but Adnan couldn't reconcile that with the devastation he felt. The confrontation that followed was explosive. Voices rose, accusations flew, and emotions spilled over into every corner of their lives. Friends and family were pulled into the drama, each side presenting their own version of the story. Adnan's world felt like it was crumbling. He couldn't understand how someone he trusted so deeply could manipulate him so completely. And yet, despite everything, a part of him still longed to believe in the woman he had loved, clinging to the memories of laughter, late-night talks, and tender moments that now felt like a cruel joke. In the aftermath, Adnan faced a storm of anger, heartbreak, and confusion. He wrestled with self-blame, questioning how he could have missed the warning signs, and yet he also realized that life doesn't come with a guidebook for deceit and betrayal. Slowly, he began to pick up the pieces, confronting his own vulnerabilities and learning the painful lessons of trust and caution. TigerLily, on the other hand, disappeared into the chaos she had created, leaving a trail of broken promises and unanswered questions behind her. But the story wasn't over. Even as the dust settled, there were moments when the past would resurface, the memory of a laugh, a text, or a fleeting glance. Adnan realized that drama, heartbreak, and betrayal were not the end, but rather a test of his resilience. He began rebuilding his life, focusing on clarity, honesty, and the relationships that truly mattered. TigerLily remained a shadow in his memories, a reminder of love's dangerous intensity and the consequences of blind trust. And so, the saga of TigerLily and Adnan became more than just a tale of betrayal. It was a story of human vulnerability, the fragility of trust, and the extraordinary resilience of a heart that refuses to give up, even when the storm seems endless. However, the airport was bustling with the usual chaos, families embracing, travelers dragging luggage, and the constant hum of announcements over the PA system. Adnan stood near the arrival's gate, his heart racing. He adjusted his shirt nervously, wiping his palms on his pants. Months of texting, video calls, and late-night conversations had led to this moment. TigerLily, the woman he had fallen for across thousands of miles, would walk through those sliding doors any minute now. He kept replaying the first message she had sent him, the words still vivid in his mind. I think I've finally found someone I can trust. Little did he know, TigerLily was feeling the exact same anticipation, though with a hint of her own nerves and secrets tucked away behind a practiced smile. And then there she was. TigerLily appeared at the end of the terminal, dragging a small rolling suitcase. Her hair cascaded over her shoulders, and her eyes scanned the crowd until they landed on Adnan. For a moment, the world seemed to freeze for both of them. Adnan's jaw tightened. He wanted to run up to her, but he didn't want to seem too eager. TigerLily, on the other hand, smiled, trying to mask the whirlwind of emotions inside her chest: excitement, curiosity, and a little nervous tension. Their eyes met, and in that instant, there was a spark, something undeniable. Adnan stepped forward first. "TigerLily?" His voice was almost a whisper, yet it carried over the noise of the airport. "Yes," she said softly, almost breathless. They moved toward each other, a mix of hesitation and anticipation, until finally, they stood face to face. The first hug was awkward yet tender. Adnan could feel her heart beating against his chest. For him, it was surreal. After months of seeing her through a screen, hearing her laugh over video calls, this was real. She was real. TigerLily pulled back slightly, giving him a cautious, yet warm smile. "You look different than in pictures," he admitted, a hint of nervousness in his tone. TigerLily chuckled lightly. "I get that a lot," she said, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "You look exactly how I imagined, though, maybe even better." There was a brief silence. Just long enough for the world to feel heavy with unspoken possibilities. The hum of the airport faded into the background. Adnan studied her face, her smile, the sparkle in her eyes, the subtle tension around her jaw, and felt a mixture of hope and fear. "Shall we get out of here?" Adnan suggested, nodding toward the taxi stand outside. TigerLily hesitated for a moment, the flicker of something unreadable crossing her expression, before she nodded. "Yes. Let's go." As they walked to the curb, dragging their suitcases side by side, the conversation started to flow, tentative at first, like two dancers finding the rhythm of each other's steps. They talked about the flight, the weather, the small things that didn't matter but somehow felt monumental. Once in the car, there was a brief, charged silence. Adnan tried to make small talk, but he found himself stealing glances at her, noticing the way her fingers nervously fidgeted with the strap of her bag, how her eyes flickered toward him whenever she laughed. TigerLily, meanwhile, noticed his hands gripping the steering wheel a little too tightly, the way he seemed both confident and unsure at the same time. "You know," TigerLily began hesitantly, "I've been thinking about this moment, about meeting you in person. It's a lot more intense than I imagined." Adnan nodded, swallowing hard. "I know. I feel the same. I've waited for this moment for so long, and now that it's here, I don't even know how to act." TigerLily smiled, a mixture of amusement and empathy. "We'll figure it out together." There was a pause, the kind that wasn't awkward, but full of tension and anticipation. They both knew that the coming days would be crucial, not just in learning about each other, but in revealing the truths and secrets they had both kept at bay over countless messages and video calls. When they finally reached the hotel, the driver helped with their luggage, and Adnan paid with a slightly trembling hand. He led TigerLily to the lobby, their eyes occasionally meeting with sparks of something that felt like fate. In the lobby, they stopped. Neither wanted to move into the hotel room, just yet. There was still something magical about being here, outside the confines of schedules, calls, or social media screens. Adnan took a deep breath. "TigerLily, I want this to be honest. I want us to really see each other, no games, no pretending." TigerLily tilted her head, the smile never leaving her face, but her eyes held a glimmer of something deeper. "I want that too, Adnan. I really do." And for a moment, just a moment, everything seemed perfect. The airport chaos, the months of anticipation, and the fear of the unknown melted away. Two hearts, once separated by distance and uncertainty, now stood in the same room, daring to take the first step towards something that could either be beautiful or devastating. As the elevator doors closed, Bringing them up to the floor of the hotel, Adnan reached out, taking TigerLily's hand in his. She hesitated just a second, then entwined her fingers with his. In that small gesture, there was a promise of patience, discovery, and perhaps love. Little did they know, the next few days would be filled with laughter, arguments, late-night confessions, and the kind of drama only 90-Day Fiancé could deliver. But in this first moment, this first meeting, the world felt like it was theirs, if only for a little while. However, the morning sun streamed through the curtains of their small but cozy apartment in Houston. Adnan was already in the kitchen, preparing his usual breakfast of omelets and toast, humming a tune from his childhood in Pakistan. TigerLily sat at the small dining table, scrolling through her phone, but her mind wasn't on social media. A heavy feeling had settled in her chest over the last few weeks, something she couldn't quite shake. It wasn't about the house or bills, or even their occasional arguments. It was about faith. TigerLily had been raised in a secular family in the Philippines, where her parents had always emphasized freedom and personal choice over religion. She considered herself spiritual, but not religious. Adnan, on the other hand, was devout. Islam shaped not just his daily rituals, but the rhythm of his life, the prayers, the diet, the festivals, the values he held dear. For Adnan, faith was non-negotiable. Over the past few weeks, this difference had begun to feel like a wall between them. "Tiger," Adnan said softly, noticing her distant expression, "you've been quiet. Is something wrong?" She forced a smile. "I'm fine. Just thinking." Adnan reached across the table and held her hand. "You know you can tell me anything, right?" She hesitated. She had promised herself she would always be honest with him, but the words felt heavy, almost forbidden. "It's just, I feel a lot of pressure, Adnan. Pressure to convert." Adnan's expression softened, but a flicker of concern passed through his eyes. "Pressure? From me?" TigerLily shook her head. "Not exactly. It's your family, your community. Sometimes I feel like I have to choose between being with you and staying true to myself. It's hard. I love you, Adnan, but I'm scared I'll lose who I am in the process." Adnan squeezed her hand gently. "Tig, I never want you to feel forced into anything. Faith is personal. I only want you to be happy and comfortable, no matter what path you choose. I will respect you, always." Her eyes welled up. "But your family, they expect me to pray, to wear certain clothes, to follow rules I've never known. Sometimes I feel like an outsider already." Adnan nodded solemnly. "I understand, and I've tried to prepare them, but traditions die hard. They love me, and they want what's best for us. But they also need to see that you're making your choices from your heart, not from fear." The next few days were a whirlwind of internal conflict for TigerLily. She spent hours walking around the neighborhood, trying to sort out her thoughts. She loved Adnan deeply, more than anyone she had ever known. But the pressure, both real and imagined, from his community made her feel trapped in a life that wasn't fully hers. Late one night, she opened her laptop and began writing a journal entry. "I love Adnan. I really do. But I don't want to lose myself. I want to share his world without being swallowed by it. I want us to be together, not because I changed, but because we accept each other completely." The next morning, she shared the entry with Adnan. He read it silently, his face unreadable at first. Then he looked up, and she saw a mixture of pride and relief. "Tig, thank you for telling me. That's bravery. And you're right. Love isn't about forcing someone to change. It's about walking together, even if the paths are different." Their conversations sparked a new understanding between them. They began to navigate the intersection of love and faith with patience. Adnan started explaining his traditions and beliefs not as rules to obey, but as stories, lessons, and cultural touchstones. TigerLily asked questions, expressed doubts, and shared her own beliefs. Slowly, a bridge was forming, one built on empathy, not obligation. However, tension with Adnan's family lingered. At a family gathering, his mother, a devout woman with sharp eyes and high expectations, watched TigerLily carefully. "TigerLily, she said, her tone polite but firm. Adnan's family prays together, celebrates together. It is important for a wife to embrace these traditions. TigerLily felt a pang of discomfort but smiled politely. I understand, ma'am. I want to learn and share in the celebrations, but I hope you understand I have my own ways too. The older woman studied her for a long moment, then nodded slowly. We will see. Love is patient. Time will tell. Back home, TigerLily broke down in tears. Adnan held her tightly, whispering reassurance. You don't have to prove anything to them. You've proven everything to me. And that's what matters. Over time, they found a rhythm. TigerLily began attending some cultural and religious events, not out of obligation but curiosity and love. She started wearing a scarf on special occasions, prayed in her own way, and shared her own beliefs with Adnan's family, who gradually warmed to her sincerity. One evening, as they sat on the balcony watching the city lights, TigerLily leaned on Adnan's shoulder. You know, I was so scared I'd have to choose between us and myself. But now, I feel like we're stronger than before. Adnan kissed her forehead. We are. Love isn't about changing each other. It's about understanding each other, accepting each other, and building a life together. That's what we're doing. TigerLily smiled, finally feeling at peace. She realized that faith didn't have to be a barrier. Instead, it could be a bridge, a way for them to explore each other's worlds without losing themselves. And in that quiet moment, with the hum of the city below and the warmth of each other's presence, they knew they could face the pressures of the world together, hand in hand, heart with heart, and love guiding every step of the way. Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to my channel. I am Amelia. Hope your day is so well. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe the channel.